Hey, everybody. Welcome to the post show and all of you patrons who get it in early access for a day. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burly of BurlyMenGaming and Turn-Based Carl. Carl, hanging in there, man. You were getting all those vibes and getting extra hyped up about Guardians of the Galaxy coming out soon, man. You're getting all pumped up, yeah?
Selling me out there. It's my little dirty little secret. I don't want people to know that I'm excited for this AAA, third person action adventure story driven game by a major studio.
Emphasis on AAA, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Excuse me for having a little bit of interest in it.
Hey, and Burly, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Actually, I just checked out Twitter and the development studio and all that just started following Carl. Expat. I think
really?
We see something.
Wait, we're live? Whoa, I didn't realize we were live.
So during the episode, we were talking about Far Cry 6 a little bit towards the end of the episode about the reviews that were coming out for Far Cry 6, and there's a story that I wanted to start the post show with tonight, guys. And you guys have heard of PETA, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like, they monitor like animal activism and awareness and things like that. And so they want Far Cry 6 to remove its cockfighting minigame. So apparently there's a cockfighting minigame in Far Cry 6. So this is from Nicholas Goyer over at Game Rant. I'm going to read a little bit of this for you. So the newly released Far Cry 6 promises series fans a return to open world shenanigans, this time set on the fictional Caribbean island of Yara. Developed by Ubisoft Toronto, Far Cry 6 follows protagonist Danny Rojas as they and the Resistance attempt to overthrow the dictatorship ruled by Anton Castillo, portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito of The Mandalorian fame. The game has been met with generally favorable reviews, which is currently sitting at a Metacritic score of 75. Far Cry 6 has been praised for its charismatic villain, sprawling open world, and mesmerizing mayhem, while being criticized for its repetition, and lack of new ideas. The game also features a rather interesting minigame that has raised a few eyebrows as well. So Far Cry 6 allows players to participate in a cockfighting minigame in which they not only collect roosters but directly control them in a Mortal Kombat style fighting game, complete with a character select screen, special moves, and multiple rounds. Reactions to mode have been mixed, with some players having fun with its simplicity while others find it to be rather tone-deaf in today's animal rights-centric climate. On October 7th, the senior manager of PETA's Latino branch, Alicia Aguayo, released a statement calling on Ubisoft to remove cockfighting from the game. So, guys, do you kill animals in games?
I mean, whenever I get the chance, right?
So this story probably doesn't mean much to you, Carl, right? So, yeah.
I don't go out of my way, but that's a video game thing, right? You kill animals all the time in video games.
Well, you have to. It's either you kill them or they kill you, right? Yeah.
A lot of times, yeah. I found the little gopher looking creatures in the Halo Infinite beta. There in one of the maps, the Big Team Battle map, and I was like, "Oh, look at that thing! I got the little critter running around." And of course, I shot it because you just want to see what happens. It's a video game. It's not real.
Yeah.
In real life, I would not have killed an animal. I would never. I wouldn't even go hunting. I wouldn't even shoot an animal with a bow. I wouldn't want to do that. But.
Right. Yeah, like you were talking about, you played Far Cry Primal, so it's like in Far Cry Primal, you have to kill animals all the time, like the saber-toothed tigers and.
Those are prehistoric animals. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If they're coming after you, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Burly, what do you think of this, man? Is this thing with PETA kind of overblown or what?
Well, here's the thing. PETA's a bunch of giant hypocrites. They've been hypocrites for years. There have been many things they've done some shit that's not right, with where they've rescued but killed animals themselves. So yeah, you're calling the pot kettle black. Like they've made games because they are against Pokemon. They're like, if you play Pokemon, you're wanting and teaching kids to kill animals and fight animals. I was like, oh my god, you people take things way too seriously. Like,
I mean, Pokemon is cockfighting, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, but do you think I go around my day?
Cockfighting. Yeah,
I go around my rest of my days looking for that. No, I played it because I played a little bit of Sleeping Dogs, and that was in there. And I think one person in my chat was like, "How dare you do this video game?" I was like, "It's in the fucking game. Do you think I'm gonna sit and honestly do this in real life? You think 99% of people will? No, there will be some people, but those are those people. You can't."
Yeah. Have they ever had dogfighting in a video game?
That's a good question. I'm sure there's a game that's have dog
I'm sure there's
some.
I'm sure there's some Flash game, and it'll have had a certain football player that was acute that did it.
Maybe in GTA Online, you could probably do dogfighting.
I was just gonna say, like, you're Rockstar. Maybe you should get on that. Let's get a dogfighting mini game in your GTA 6. Let's do it.
PETA, yeah.
Please, they ain't working on GTA 6 for another 5 years. They'll start.
Yeah, right. The thing is, like, I get it. Like, these things are gross, and cockfighting is terrible, and you shouldn't be a part of it. But this is a video game, and it's a violent video game. It's not like everything in this game is just like, rainbows and butterflies here. You're going around murdering people all over the place. So you're telling me the one thing in this game that bothers you is the fact that you can participate in cockfighting.
No.
I mean, I value human life more than animal life. I know some people don't. I don't understand why. I'm not saying animal life shouldn't be valued. If you want to value them equally, that's up to you. But to value it more, I'm like, I don't. There's a lot of innocent human beings suffering, and that's depicted in video games a lot. So, be against all violence in video games, or none of it, or just some of it,
or just join a Buddhist monastery. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't be hypocrites. Let's be the real issue. Don't be hypocrites and have the I am holier than thou. Because whenever you start doing holier than thou, it'll eventually become out that you've done shit that's wrong and you're a hypocrite. How many times
nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Like, look at all those preachers that were all holier than thou, and they all get caught with like hookers and blow. It's like, give me
child molestation, right?
Getting high and on drugs and stuff like that. Yeah.
So. It's a nasty world out there, and the least of our problems is depiction of cockfighting in a video game.
Yeah.
Like, I know Ubisoft only put it in just because it is that, like, from what I've seen of the game, it is just because you're taking, like, I forget if it's a fictional South American kind of country they're putting in. That's the kind of climate with that. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's the climate of the world. They're trying to be kind of close to realistic as they can.
Yeah.
Now I don't think anyone would have minded if that wasn't in the game. I don't think that would have had a bunch of people saying, "Oh my god, I'm not going to buy this game because there's no cockfighting in it." No, but they're trying to go for like realism and stuff like that.
Right.
It does add to the setting that they're trying to create. Because, you said, it is a setting that based on a realistic place that would have something like that. Because guess what? This stuff still goes on today in the real world.
Yep.
Okay, so if this bothers you, maybe you should go after that. You should be fighting for that to stop in the real world. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we were mentioning GTA just a couple of minutes ago. So Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, was officially announced. So yeah, Burly, you sent this to me. This is from IGN, so by Matt Kim. After many leaks, Rockstar Games has officially announced that Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, comprising Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. The updated games will be released for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC via the Rockstar Games launcher. Quote, later this year, end quote. Mobile ports will follow next year. Are any of you guys going to play these? Are you?
Nah.
No.
How many times have you played them?
I was going to say, see, I have probably very little Grand Theft Auto experience. I played a little bit of GTA 3 and Vice City with cheats, just messing around with cheats because people had them. Only way I'd play these, and I know as I say this, certain people will start this, is if there's some Twitch demand from my chat thing. And now that I said that, it's going to create that.
I've only played GTA 3 out of these. I mean, a little bit like I played all of GTA 3, right? I mean, that was a great game at the time. It was revolutionary. Vice City, my brother had. I played a little bit. I watched him play some of it. I didn't really put much time into it. I think I played a little bit of Liberty City Stories, which isn't in this, the PSP one, which, come on, guys, you could be lazy. You're not going to put in Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, that's next year's. We're going to sell you HD thing to make more money.
Yeah. You know, I by the time you get to like, you know, what, the third, fourth, well, I guess the third of this trilogy, and then you got a fourth and a fifth game. Like, you know, I expect people like VGC to give these games like a 2 out of 10, right? It's the same thing again and again.
So those of you who didn't listen to the entirety of our podcast, VGC was given a bad review to Far Cry 6. It was, what was it, Carl? A 2 out of 5 or something like that. Yeah, I played all of these games. Vice City is probably, I played the hell out of that game. I loved it the most out of all the GTA games. And supposedly GTA 6 is going to be going back to Vice City. And it would be really cool if it goes back to the 80s, like Vice City was. But we shall see. But I'm not going to play these. I mean, I had enough of these games. I'm just going to wait for GTA 6, you know, when it comes out 6 or 7 years from now. I mean,
Well, I'm that's really early thinking. That's when we'll start development.
I'm very interested in seeing what the enhancements actually will be, because they mentioned some visual and some gameplay, right? But they also said that it's not going to be wildly different looking than the originals. So I sort of expect to see just, you know, higher resolution, better frame rate, and I hope significant improvements to how they control, because those old games probably feel really crappy to play right now. Yeah,
come on, and man, these games are not going to look like a PS5 game. That's all I'm going to say. It's like, there'll be some enhancements, obviously, but shocking, probably not. So,
so you mean they're not going to have Ember Labs and Insomniac do all the cutscenes? Make it look like no.
Unfortunately, yeah. But I have to admit, though, looking at from my YouTube video that I made of the Alan Wake remaster, it looks pretty. You know, the Alan Wake remaster. So, but anyway, that's another thing altogether. So next up, I want to talk about Nintendo, and I don't know if you guys ever had any problems with Joy Con Drift. Burly, I think maybe you had some problems with Joy Con Drift. Yeah. So there's an article that came out by Alejandro Medellin over at Input, and it was based on an interview that was done with the general manager, Shiota Ko, and Yamashita Toru, the deputy general manager of the company's technical development division. And they spoke at length about the Switch OLED's development, and in particular interested to indirectly address the Joy Con drift issues. So basically, what we got out of this interview was better does not equal fixed. So in a Nintendo Asked a Developer interview, Shiota Ko and Yamashita Toru, they discussed these issues. While the two didn't get specific, Yamashita said the company's continuously making improvements to component reliability. Quote, the analog stick parts have continuously been improved since launch, and we are still working on improvements, end quote. This is the typical Japanese response to anything. We're working on improvements. We're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. Yamashita says the improvements to the, quote, internal components of the Joy-Con, end quote, are not exclusive to the Switch OLED, but are also available in the Switch Lite. Switch Pro controllers also have, quote, similar continual improvements, end quote, whatever those are. Improved Joy-Cons are nice, but it doesn't sound like Nintendo has fixed the underlying problem or that it's even fixable. When asked if, quote, wear is unavoidable as long as the parts are physically in contact, end quote, Yamashita responded, quote, yes, for example, car tires wear out as the car moves, as they are in constant friction with the ground to rotate. So with that same premise, we asked ourselves how we can improve durability. And not only that, but how can both operability and durability coexist? It's something we are continuously tackling, end quote. So are we ever going to get a fix to Joy-Con drift, Burly?
Hell no. Nintendo has proven over the years they don't give two shits. Let's be honest. I am a day one Switch adopter, but look at how long it took them to give it a system where you can send your Joy-Cons in. Like my one buddy did use that and he said it worked well, but it's like Nintendo has been horrible for this.
Yeah.
They're not going to change. Even though they've had some bad press and they've had a lawsuit or two on them, they don't care because most people won't complain or do anything. They'll still buy the Switch. They'll still buy tons of Joy-Cons and all that.
Yeah.
What do we know how often this happens? You know, is there any sort of data percentage wise?
That's a good question. I don't know. But after a certain year, Joy-Cons have been better. But, like, for me, I have a good set of Joy-Cons that are on my Switch. But when I play mine in docked, I have a Pro Controller. I stopped using it. Not because of the, drift on my Pro Controller, because I don't remember it having that. But I use the 8-bit Duo. It's like half the cost. And it was just a great D-pad because I picked it up when Mario Maker 2 came out, and that's just been my de facto controller.
Yeah, usually when I play the Switch, I play it in docked mode, so I use the Pro Controller. So Carl, go ahead.
I only have a Switch Lite, and I haven't experienced any issue with it, although I don't use it a lot, so I don't know if it can get worse through a lot of use. Is that a thing that's happening, or is it just happening over time without usage? You know, that's the thing. Like if you're putting hours and hours and hours into your Switch and then this happens, I mean, that's not out of the ordinary for these type of things.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, I think what people were having problems with Nintendo was that this Joy-Con drift issue was happening as soon as they bought the system.
Now that's terrible. Yeah, that should never happen.
So of course, some people have had the problem after wear and tear, obviously, of playing with them for a long time. But there were a lot of people out there that were experiencing the drift situation as soon as they unpackaged it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my brother had one of his original Xbox One controllers get a drift to one of the sticks. I mean, it can happen on other things. I know it happens on PS4 controllers, probably PS5 ones. I'm sure it's happened as well.
It happened to me on my PS5. The controller that came with the box started having drift in the HUD. Yeah, like in the the opening screens and all. Just went batty. The left thumbstick. So I had to get a secondary controller.
Yeah, if they're fixing it, I mean, they allow you to now send it in, right? And they don't charge you.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
You have to spend some money to ship.
Okay, a little bit. Okay.
Well, with PlayStation, I don't know how, definitely, yeah. So,
no, with Nintendo here in Canada, my buddy had to pay a little bit.
Okay.
Which I feel is unright. Like, if it's 100% free, great. We shouldn't, as the cost, we the consumers shouldn't pay for manufacturing flaws of Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a big enough issue, I mean, and if it's within warranty, it's not through, wear and tear, then for sure, that's how it should be. And this is what, like, I think the Red Ring of Death, right, with the Xbox, how they really handled that incredibly well. And they spent a ton of money to do it, but they extended the warranty several years. I think I don't remember how many exactly, and they paid 100% for all shipping costs. They actually sent you a box to put it in.
Yeah,
which was fantastic.
Yeah, Okay, so let's move on to Marvel's Avengers has been doing really good on Game Pass. It's been giving Avengers a serious boost. This is from Game Rant and Daniel D'Angelo. So I want to read a little bit of this for you. Crystal Dynamics' Marvel's Avengers has hardly set the world on fire. Instead, it received a generally lukewarm reception at release and struggled to retain player sense. Even the addition of new content like the free War for Wakanda DLC in August wasn't enough to entirely turn things around. However, Marvel's Avengers is finally starting to draw a crowd. In fact, it's gone from a mediocre reception to an overnight sensation. I don't know about that, but it seems the game's recent arrival on Xbox Game Pass has turned a middlingly popular game into a massive hit. So I don't know, Carl, I'll start this one with you being the Game Pass expert here.
I've also played Avengers significantly.
Yes, but you played it before it came to Game Pass. So, but what do you think? Do you think this is true, what's going on here? Do you think Avengers has gotten a second lease on life since it came to Game Pass?
I'm going to say no, it hasn't. You do have a significant boost. There are a lot of people talking about it and playing it because of this. But I think it's just going to be a lot of people jumping in and trying it out. And then they're not going to stick with it. And this is the type of game that you need people to keep playing, right? That's their problem. The problem wasn't that people didn't like it at first, right? I think a lot of people enjoyed the story. The single player content from the beginning was strong. And I think as a game, just playing it feels good and there's a fun factor to it. But to play it as a service game, that's where it doesn't really work. And I think this isn't going to change that.
Yeah. And one other issue too, the file size. A lot of people were kind of, turned off by that. I mean, it's like 125 gigabytes. If you're downloading it directly from Game Pass. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's all the extra content they've released since, right?
Yeah.
You've got the Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, and Black Panther stuff in there. Yeah. It's. I mean, I understand the file size on this game because there's so many animations, right, for these characters.
Right.
There's a lot of characters now, and there's a lot of textures and maps, and the areas you go to are pretty large too, and there's a lot of things to fill that space for sure.
Yeah. Burly, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's not surprising because how many people just wait to games? I know Carl will agree with this. Just wait till games come on Game Pass and just be like, "Hey, I didn't have to spend full price or anything. I can just try this."
Yep.
I'm having some fun. It's
Yep.
like I liked Avengers. I know I'm in the hell minority on that, but it doesn't surprise me it coming to Game Pass and people trying it. And I know people are balking on the size, but look at fucking Call of Duty Warzone, the free to play. On some of the, I forget, I think it's on Xbox. It's like 200 and something gigs.
Yeah.
So you can balk and bitch all you want. Games are bigger sizes. If you have not realized that since the PS4, Xbox One generation, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back to the PS1 era where you have 4 discs and you're gonna have to go? Oh, we're gonna go play this section. Okay, let me go get disc 3 out.
Oh god, yeah. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So finally, before we close up on this episode of the post show, we had some trailers drop. This past week, we had the new Game of Thrones House of the Dragon trailer drop. The Witcher Season 2, we had another trailer drop of that. And, of course, the new Resident Evil movie trailer dropped as well. So I'll go ahead and start with you guys. Which one? For me, the House of the Dragon. I was a big Game of Thrones fan until Season 8, obviously. But I'm really excited for House of the Dragon because I was a big fan of Daenerys in the regular Game of Thrones series, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the past history of the Targaryens, and of course it's going to go into the Dance of Dragons, which is like 200 years before the events of the regular series. So I was excited to see that drop, and it was pretty spontaneous that it dropped. That HBO dropped that. So. That was one of the big ones for me. What about for you guys? Which of these trailers were you most excited to see and are excited for? Burly, I'll start with you, man.
Resident Evil.
Okay.
I'll be completely honest. Yeah. My feelings against Capcom aside, I looked at that and it's like, okay, they're taking Hughes, and this is not going to be like the Paul W.S. Anderson movies.
Yeah.
So this looks like this is just going to be a good little movie. One I'm looking forward to. Whether or not it'll stick the landing, I hope it does.
Yeah, this trailer, there's a bit of obviously like campiness to what you're seeing in the trailer. Not extensively, but like that's part of Resident Evil. You can't deny that.
Oh yeah, campy is Resident Evil.
Yeah. So like I don't have a problem with that aspect. I think they're nailing the design of everything, right? And I watched one other video that had like someone who was working on the movie talking over the trailer. And they talked about how they got like the floor plans for the Raccoon Police Department and for the mansion.
On Spencer Mansion.
1. Yeah. And that they built the sets to match the actual floor plans.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys are doing everything right here. You're making sure that the lore of the franchise is respected. And then they talked about how they changed some things up. They want to get Resident Evil 1 and 2 elements in it. And I think that's fine, because if they were to just try to like do exactly the story, then you know everything that's going to happen and it's not as interesting.
Yeah.
So you need some of that. They incorporated that character who was original to the Resident Evil 1 remake. There was like an extra side story boss with this girl who was, I don't know. I don't even know exactly. I don't remember it all.
I know who you're talking about. I'm blanking on the name at the moment.
Is it? I'm looking at the cast here. Is it Lisa Trevor? Does that sound right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you.
But I was surprised to see that, because I'm like, oh, okay, that's like a deep cut. Like if you didn't play that version of that game, like that character doesn't exist to you, and they want to. That seems like a significant part of the story. But like, you have all the major characters you want to see in this. You got Claire and Chris and Jill, William Birkin, Wesker, Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong is even cast, which I don't know if she has a significant role or not. And I know some of these actors, like you got Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield, who's the brother of Stephen Amell, who is the lead in Arrow on CW, if you know that show. You got Hannah John Kamen, who's as Jill, who was Ghost in Ant-Man 2. Neil McDonough, who's just great. He's in so many things. He's William Birkin. He was, you might remember from like Marvel. He was in Captain America 1. He was Dum Dum Dugan. And Tom Hopper is Albert Wesker, who is in Umbrella Academy. If you've seen that, who actually think he was probably one of the worst actors in that. I don't know if it was the role or not. But, so yeah, there's a bunch of people in this. Now I have to say, if you think about these casts, like, and you look at some of the visuals, the budget on this must be really slim. Some of those visual effects, man, not really popping the way they should. The design is correct, but unfortunately, they definitely don't have the budget on this.
I'm trying to see if I can find the actual budget number.
Yeah.
Speaking of budgets, I would imagine this House of the Dragon is going to be just through the roof.
Oh,
because with
sure.
all the dragons that they're going to have to incorporate into this one. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. As far as House of Dragon goes, yeah, I mean, the trailer like didn't do much for me other than like, I already know I'm going to watch this, so like, cool.
It looks like it's going to be good though, because Miguel Sapochnik that directed like Battle of the Bastards and some of the others, the really good battle scene episodes, he's going to be one of the executive producers, and then the music is going to be amazing as well. The same music director is going to be involved with the show as well. So yeah, it's going to be big budget. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. See, it's got more of a budget than Resident Evil. Resident Evil's was $40 million.
Yeah. See, it's relatively small. Now, here's the thing, though. I gotta say, that movie is going to overperform for its budget. There's no way it's not going to.
Yeah.
And they're gonna see that, like, we probably should have put more money into this. But if it does well, it'll get a sequel and it'll get a bigger budget.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say on the Game of Thrones, you brought up the like directors of like the Battle of the Bastards thing, in the battles.
Yeah,
that's one of the things where like I know they did a great job in that stuff. But that's not exactly why I watch and love Game of Thrones. Like I care about the story and the drama and the intrigue a lot,
and the politics and
all of that stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
The battles can be cool, but I actually never liked when they're like, let's make an entire episode that's a battle. I'm like, that's too much. I don't need that.
Well, it's like culminating to a particular point, and then it's like boom. Yeah. So
see, like if season 1, obviously the budget was smaller, but it's one of the best seasons, and when you look at I've watched that season many times, and when you look at the battles in that, most of the battles are your one-on-one fights, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much like drama to them, right? So they're tense, right? And you feel like the characters, why they're fighting, like it matters. It feels significant.
Yeah.
And I read the book, and they actually cut out actual larger scale battles from season 1. Just because they didn't have the budget. So like if maybe you don't remember, it's very specifically like there's part with Tyrion where he meets his father like at the camp, and in the show he gets knocked out and then the battle's over.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens in the book at all. He actually participates and fights in the battle, and the whole thing is described. So like,
there's going to be a lot of elements of the book that are going to be cut out, I'm sure, but what you're talking about, Carl, when it comes to the political and all those elements, they're going to be in House of the Dragon too, because the Dance of the Dragons was hugely political. I mean, of course, you have the two factions, you have the two sides of the Targaryen family battling over succession. So that's going to be interesting in itself to see how that played out. But yeah.
I'm excited for it for sure. I just hope they may remember that, like, the reason we all loved Game of Thrones is because the characters and writing were so strong.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it be a huge spectacle. It's not the biggest important.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you guys like it? I just like because the incest and tits. I'm kidding.
And with that, everybody,
There you go.
That's going to do it for the post show. So I want to thank all you patrons out there. This goes up for 1 day in early access for y'all, for you patrons, and then it goes up to the free podcast services. So want to thank all of you, and we shall see you in the next one next week. So take care, everyone. Peace out.